The brilliance of his writing is the language, the fluidity, the way it flows. It's very stream of consciousness. It's very experimental for its time.
He is like Joyce. He can inhabit the consciousness of his characters. So there's no rhetoric in his work. It's very, very, very modern.
JP Donleavy is absolutely one of the great Irish writers.
One of the most brilliant men of words of our time, whose contribution to the theatre is magnificent and glorious and incomparable and unique and thrilling, lewd and glorious.
What I love about The Ginger Man is, I think fundamentally it's humour. The story of Sebastian Dangerfield, which is about a story ultimately of a low life. He manages to make him into an everyman, a guy that we all both dislike but identify with.
Ginger Man is as fresh today as when it was written. It's satiric, it's burlesque, it's comic, and it portrays the male mind, I think, in a very true sense. This book speaks to generations.
There is one story about JP Donleavy knew Brendan Behan, and Brendan Behan apparently broke into his cottage.
He saw this manuscript sitting on Mike's table and started editing it without Mike's permission and making remarks. And so he has the actual original manuscript of The Ginger Man is festooned with Behan's scribbles and exclamations and suggested cuts and amendments. It's an extraordinary document.
There was a publisher in Paris called Olympia who were willing to publish it, and who had published What by Beckett. And he thought, this will be the kind of crowd I could get on board with. These are the people I would like to publish my work. But they also had another imprint which published, let's say, more salacious material. When these copies of the book arrived, it was very clear to him that he wasn't part of the Beckett imprint, he was part of the pornographic imprint. But there was an ongoing legal battle between Olympia and JP to get the book represented properly when the publisher went bankrupt and went to auction in 1970, so some 15 years after the book was originally published. So he bought the publishing house.
He's kind of a hard bargainer. He controls his own copyrights and he's never used an agent. And when I commissioned a foreword from him for a book that I was publishing at Lilliput Press, I was dreading having to negotiate a fee. But when he knew I was a cheesemaker, I made cheese with my then wife. He said he liked a truckle of cheese.
The play that we did together, The Beastly Beatitudes of Balthazar B., the Duke of York's Theatre, a play that people still come up and talk to me about. People say it's the best thing they ever saw in the theatre. If I could do anything, I now, with my silvery locks, these many a year since we last collaborated together, if I could do something about it, I would, but it seems I am powerless. I hope you're writing something at the moment and that we'll be able to read it soon.
I can't imagine being a teenager without Donleavy's books. I reread Meet My Maker, The Mad Molecule, which was one of my chosen core texts when I was a kid. It was bonkers in an excellent way. It was that playing with language that the Irish do so well, but in a very overt way. The Beastly Beatitudes and The Saddest Summer of Samuel S. They are wonderful. I'm glad that finally this great writer is recognised. Just talking about him, just thinking about the books, I look forward to grabbing one of them when I go home now and just losing myself in that specific world of his. What more can you expect from an author?
On behalf of Beefy and Balthazar and the whole glorious gang of your creations, I salute you and wish you many, many, many happy